Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get our program started. We do have a few guests that have joined us today. So when I say your names, please stand up so we can all look at you. I'd like to welcome John Lee, who is a guest of Matt Blair. And we also have Steve Keppen, who's a guest of Bob Logan. And also a big welcome to all of the Rotarians who are tuning in to watch the meeting virtually today. Introducing our program, today we have Larry Allison. He's been a member since November 1st of 1971. He served as Rotary Club of Tucson's president during the year of 1985 to 1986. Larry attended many universities. He has a long list here. He got his Bachelor of Science at the U of A, his Juris Doctor at University of San Francisco, and his Master's of Law degree at New York University. He's been with Duffield, Young, and Adamson PC since 1970. And did you guys know, I'm sure a lot of you know this, but Larry actually formed our Rotary Club of Tucson Foundation in 1974. Serving as foundation president for 28 years, from 1974 to 2002. Very impressive. Thank you so much for all you've done for our club.
Emily Ann Dulcin is the CEO of A for Arizona. She grew up in Minneapolis, college at St. Lawrence College, moved to Phoenix and was a middle school teacher, and went to law school at St. Thomas in education law because she saw something that was in education and felt the law background would be terrific. She returned to Phoenix, connected with Lisa Graham Keegan, who was our Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction, and they focused on top performing public schools, poverty schools, Title I schools. And in the Rotary Bulletin, which you've seen, you can see her high achievements. American Institute President, Institute, R Street Institute, Boy Scouts of Phoenix chapter, Red Handed chapter. She's had some personal recognition. She saw in the Bulletin in 2017, Athena Young Professional Nominee, 2018, Arizona Republic Educator to Watch, 2019, Breakout, one of the sharpest minds in Arizona under 40. And in 2020, the Arizona Capital Times named her as the inaugural Achievers of Arizona Nonprofit Leader. Her presentation today is going to be about changing the narrative of what's possible for students in Arizona. Solutions to rapidly increase the number of low-income students attending Arizona top-performing public schools. So I give to you, Emily Ann.
Hi all, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here virtually with you. First, I want to thank Larry for those opening introductions and the Connie Home and Family Foundation. They've been huge supporters and believers in our work from the very beginning, and I am truly grateful to have such a fierce advocate for students that are engaged with us. I also want to give a shout out to Jeannie and Jeff for the opportunity to speak with you all today, and hope that you'll leave here today joining me in believing that the future of education in Arizona is really bright. So, as Larry mentioned, I operate an organization called A for Arizona. So it's a nonprofit really focused on education with a laser focus on our 1.1 million public school students here in Arizona. And we spend every day focused on how do we achieve this system where all students really have access to this high quality school and learning opportunities that are close to them. And we focus on building collaborative partnerships that are among education leaders, the business community and policymakers, really looking at how we can enhance the educational environment and opportunities for students. So we regularly provide a space for both school principals and system leaders who can come together and share those best practices around what's working really well for our kids and ways to scale those great ideas. And we learn a lot from this amazing cadre of leaders, and then seek to educate amazing community partners like all of you today on how we can help prioritize student success, especially for low-income students, and ways to not unnecessarily restrict leaders from being really entrepreneurial and innovative in their models and structures that are creating the greatest value for our students. So obviously Larry mentioned, I come with this work as a former middle school social studies teacher, and it's really important for some of my remarks today on why do we see the world the way we do. I have this deep belief that every child can learn at the highest level, and I've taught at two very different schools and models. One was just exceptional, relentlessly focused on results for kids, and one unfortunately had been failing for many years despite a lot of dollars and a lot of efforts, and was ultimately shut down. And those two very different experiences have made a really profound impact on how I see the world and how we drive our work at AIF Arizona. And contextually, a lot of times folks say, why not save the failing schools? Like, why are you focused on replicating what's working and holding out hope for school improvement efforts to kick in? I think we can have both. And I talk to Larry about this a lot. When you have that right school leader and support, these approaches really work. But there's been a lot of data and research over the years that this doesn't always work fast enough. And so one of the questions that's constantly top of mind for us in our work is, how long must a child wait to access a public school and classroom that's really going to help them meet their full potential? And so that's what brought about AIF Arizona. We really just wanted to flip this traditional approach to education policy upside down. We won a startup, a Shark Tank competition to get our ideas off the ground. And we were convinced, what could happen if we decided to leverage these great practices from the business community and focus intensely on scaling what's working in K-12 schools. And so in the spring of 2014, we as a state had about 100 high-poverty, high-performing public schools. So that's district, charter, and magnet. And they were in rural, urban, and suburban communities. And they were all really quietly laboring and defying the odds. And they later shared with us that no one had ever put them in a room together. And so although their models varied, they had incredible track records, right, of helping students to catch up and excel academically and give them access to these life choices that we all know only a great education can provide. And so we put them all in a room together and then started to build trust across these district and charter school public models, and really wanted to see what could be possible. And so over the years, we've really gotten to know this agile, passionate group of principals and system leaders, and they range from Aho up to Snowflake. But I do want to give a shout out. You in Tucson have an exceptional cadre of talented leaders. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but we're very blessed to be able to see the great leadership and support the leadership with your talented leaders like the superintendents at Vail, Counties of Mountain Science, Sunnyside Unified, and awesome principals leading the way at schools like Mary Bell, McCorkle Academy of Excellence in Tucson. You've got Alta Vista High School, Tinta Verde High School, the list goes on. And one of the things these schools all have in common is that they have this culture of excellence and really great teachers that believe all kids can learn and are hyper-focused on data. And I like to describe them all as edupreneurs, education entrepreneurs, because they're constantly pushing the needle on thinking outside the box and what are the new approaches that will better deliver teaching practices or learning experiences for students, or new models that really can best prepare our students for the 21st century. And so our work is really built around helping to elevate their voices, their ideas, develop policy and research that's going to help support these ideas and accelerate these amazing investments they're making in the lives of every student that they serve. And so we firmly believe that expanding best practices and high quality education models is the best chance to really increase the number of low-income children that attend a high-quality school. And when we began our work, there were nearly 350,000 students in DRF-rated schools, and today that number is 110,000, which is still far too many. We're certainly not taking credit for that, but there's certainly been a shift in a mindset and in approaches that really help to indicate what's truly possible for every child. And we've seen some really great programs come about from leaders' ideas that have resulted in their ability to grow their impact, to teach others how to do what they do, to serve more students. And a great example, there's some policies now in the book that help support dollars back to schools where low-income students are earning college credits while in high school, and help to provide stipends to keep their best teachers in the classroom. We like to help troubleshoot, so some of the ideas that have come up over the years are obviously around tackling their talent needs, especially as they're growing and working to serve more kids in their community. And we've partnered over the years with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce on their talent pipeline management work, and you see new policies on the book that have led to folks like Vail and Sunnyside being able to grow their own teacher pipeline and removing barriers for these amazing leaders coming into Arizona, recognizing out-of-state reciprocity, for example, for teachers. And so we are all about troubleshooting barriers like these, how we shine a light on solutions that really work well for kids. And over the last 6 years, we've really seen an immediate impact on thousands of children. And so obviously there's been a huge shift in the last year. As you know, the circumstances of COVID-19 have really forced all of our schools, especially our leaders, to step back with their teachers, with their teams, and evaluate models and delivery. And we have benefited from a lot of the federal and state rollbacks of some policies that really have been kind of tying our hands, especially our school districts' hands, for a while, from being able to adapt and be flexible in how to better serve the needs of their students. And we've seen their ability to do that during this crisis. And it's allowed leaders to build upon and create new approaches to teaching and learning. Some that maybe they wanted to jump at and have that opportunity before the pandemic. Others that came about as a result of the pandemic. And really amidst these challenges, we've had this unique moment, especially in Arizona, to really redesign where and how kids are learning information, build upon student agency and empowering them as learners and hopefully lifelong learners, and truly to innovate. And so right now we are really serving at Arizona as an outlet to help champion some of these innovative ideas around student success and in investing in and scaling what's working so that we can provide students, even in these circumstances, access to an excellent education. So in this past 10 months, I guess, under the pandemic conditions, we've hosted 25 different collaborative opportunities for innovative schoolers. We're not a membership association, so anyone who wants to participate is welcome. Folks have recommended people that they know that are leading the way, but we're always open to more. So if you know great folks that are top of mind for you that are leading schools in the area, please send them our way. And in these collaborative communities of practice, they've been able to get additional resources, share on things they needed to troubleshoot, what's working to help them navigate leading a school or a system during this pandemic. And we continue to see firsthand, just like when we first launched in 2014, the true magic that happens when we put really great minds in a room together from all different kinds of schools and all different areas across the state. And we are really blown away every time that we really empower leaders to act. I wish I could take credit for the really great ideas that come up from this work, but we just help them highlight their best practices and showcase those with their peers, and then more students end up benefiting with those solutions. So an example for you, we had a community of practice last spring, and leaders were saying, we're really struggling with this virtual learning experience, but a few leaders had actually operated in other states, had really great ideas and brought new ideas to the table for our leaders here in Arizona. And as a result, there's 5 systems that really decided to really invest in new, basically robot technology that makes it, if you're a virtual student, you have this 360-degree learning experience, and now they have a whole separate learning community cohort where they're constantly meeting monthly and providing feedback and data, and 4,000 students are now benefiting, right, from this one moment and being able to share what's working and having access to more rigorous experiences than they did in the spring. And we've got a few policy briefs coming out, so if you're interested in learning more about these lessons, we really like to try to capture what's working so others can benefit or see maybe that's possible for our local community as well, and help to tackle perceived barriers around continuing to innovate. So we have one brief coming out in partnership with the Center for the Future of Arizona, and also working with other national researchers like the Center on Reforming Public Education out of the state of Washington, working on collecting data and capturing lessons from some of these schools on the ground about these new approaches that they've been trying during the pandemic and what is worth keeping in place well after this. And one additional element we added after a handful of years of operating 3 years ago with the help of some amazing philanthropic support, we launched this expansion and innovation fund element that we view as a really critical tool to our work to help spotlight the best practices and scale up what's working both locally and nationally. And this past fall, we were able to utilize that fund and tool to issue and award $1.2 million in innovation microgrants that were targeted at 25 very different school or system-wide proposals that were all about reimagining how do we approach teaching and learning to develop 21st century ready students for when they leave the classroom, and really community-driven proposals. And those collectively were able to reach more than 21,000 students just by the end of the school year. And many of the grants, over a third, were rural or remote, which is great. So it proves that excellence and innovation is possible anywhere. And there were over 61 different community partners, so chambers of commerce and local businesses, civics organizations, universities. The University of Arizona was named a few times in some of these proposals and as a partner, youth leadership organizations, and we just think that it's been really rewarding. We're really excited to see more data in this next quarter about these high quality learning experiences underway, and they're getting a lot of national attention for being really cutting edge in their approaches, and you have a lot of great talent that are implementing ideas through that work here in Southern Arizona. And I have to give a plug for the business community because we are borrowing a lot of ideas from folks on how to be more adaptable and providing additional supports to really equal the playing field from the startup community on how to help support schools that maybe don't have as deep of a bench but really want to think differently, or they see a problem and want to think outside the box on a new solution for their school community. And so we're timidly implementing, getting ready to implement these design sprints and some other programmatic outlets to help school leaders who want to take their ideas on ways to best serve students at the highest level and help them implement. And so we just really realized that this is the time where we get to imagine what's possible for our students, for our teachers, what the future of schooling looks like. How do we get out of their way and help them be successful? Because our educators have really great ideas, and during this pandemic experience, they've been able to have more flexibility and autonomy to lead. They know our communities best, and so we are really excited about what's ahead here in Arizona and invite you to join us. You can definitely check out our website, and there's a Get Involved tab. Please do sign up, follow us on social media, and contact me. I'm pretty regularly in Tucson. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it down today, but happy to continue the conversation, help you get plugged in with one of our amazing school partners, and I'm happy to field any questions, but just wanted to thank you for this great opportunity to get to talk about 8th Arizona and our work that's underway, and welcome any questions anyone has on the state of education and what we do.
Any questions? Come on up. Come on over, John.
Two questions. One, what criteria do you have for identifying schools of excellence? And two, how do you incentivize other schools to participate in your program? Thank you.
Great, thank you for those questions. When we first launched, we went off of the A through F school letter grade system, recognizing that that's not perfect, but we needed a starting base. And so that very original cadre were those that were identified at A and had student populations of 60% or greater that were eligible for the free and reduced price lunch program through the national government. And the challenge is that some of our school leaders shifted which school systems or individual schools they were serving, and they said, well, we still really like this opportunity to collaborate together, to share ideas. We're not in A yet, now that we took over this new school, but we're committed to getting there. And so that sort of launched this new on the way to A school. So that was what we used as kind of a metric, but again, very open. So when leaders would come and say, you know, we're really committed to this transformational change at our school site, here's how we think we can get there, we'd love some support here. There's definitely not a rejection by any means. You're very much welcome, and leaders are very open to sharing the hard work and resources and what they utilize to best serve their students. With the pandemic launching, we also sort of broadened the category around innovation and this entrepreneurial mindset, because we really were seeing the need for that agility. And so we simply asked those long-standing 8th Arizona allies of who else isn't in the mix and you think has really great ideas to share or would really benefit from this. And so simply reached out and asked them to learn more about what they do. But again, always open. So if you have a great leader in mind, please send them our way. Love to learn from them and see how we can elevate their work so more schools can benefit. And I got really excited to talk about that question. So now I drew a blank on your second question. I apologize for that.
How do you incentivize schools?
Oh, others to get involved. Well, I think the access to this amazing brain trust, right? We have some testimonies on our website about leaders who have said, you know, this ability to share what's working, best practices, to be able to quickly scale and adapt and look at what's possible. You know, I think before, when we first were launching and we're going kind of on our roadshow, a lot of local leaders said, like, there's a mindset problem in Arizona as to what's really possible for schools and kids. And you know, the great part about our work, we're not able to do it right now, but we used to be able to do some pretty regular school tours where leaders had the opportunity to get on a bus and go visit 3 or 4 different models in a day of different leaders. And sometimes they'd see, oh, that's fantastic, like we do that too, or they'd see something that maybe they wanted to tweak or adapt, or it was a model they'd never been exposed to, and were able to really expand sort of their concept and resources and find a new thought partner. On occasion, there were literally school leaders who worked down the street and hadn't interacted because they came from different models or systems, and so really wanting to expand those resources and accessibility so that every educator who wants access to it can be inspired, and I guess that's the incentive in and of itself. They really value the thought partnership and access to one another, and how we can assist on the policy side to help clear some of those roadblocks once they realize this is something really inspiring that we want to do that'll help us serve our kids better.
Kudos for being committed to moving past the status quo.
Thank you.
Moving beyond that, up that stream is sometimes quite challenging. But one of my favorite books is Good to Great. I think it's a fantastic book, the examination of best practices to help businesses move from good to great. And I was wondering if you could just say, hey, these are 5 of the best practices that we have found that have helped schools move from good to great, or bad to great, or move forward in the passion that you have.
Great question. I don't know if I can just pick 5, but I will do my best. One of the things that we're seeing right now is principals that are really leaning in with their teachers and redefining roles of teachers, where they're realizing, because some students are virtual and some are in person, having a master teacher who gets to deliver the first round of content to all children, and that's been a point of excitement where every child gets to have access to that great lesson. And then from there, they're leveraging additional teachers who really thrive in that smaller experience with small groups, breakout groups, and then you also have one-on-one supports. And so they're really realizing that, especially with this new blended technology, like how this is my first Zoom luncheon, so thank you for being patient. But we have more tools and resources underway. Another one that it should not be underestimated, I guess, is that so many of our schools, it's the culture, right? I used to get that asked in the early years, like, what is the checklist of one of these, like, 8 for Arizona schools, right? And you can feel it. You walk on that campus, and every single adult and parent and child, there's energy about that commitment to learning, that belief that, like, every child has so much possibility ahead. And so a lot of our school partners pull in all of their staff into community meetings and rallying from their bus driver, right? So that's their first point to school to the end of the day. And they just really believe we need to have every adult who interacts with our youth to really be bought in. Like, the possibilities are endless, right? One of the things that threw me for a loop from my own teaching background was when we would ask leaders about, like, who they're looking for in their teacher pipeline, right? And the responses kept coming back, like, apart from for sure wanting every child and believing that every child can learn at the highest level, were more like traits on grit and perseverance. I think sometimes there's an assumption of, like, you just want whoever's at the top of their class from this particular program, and they describe about some of these mindsets that they really scaled across other schools, about how they evaluate teachers, how they, and sharing openly with one another these resources of, like, the kinds of questions and experiences they get to really see, to get student buy-in on what that educator is like in front of kids, instead of just grown-ups, and looking at how they will fit in that school culture, and those are some great approaches. Data is everything, right? So they all have, we like to call them like the data war rooms, but really it is like these brain trusts of every single child, where are they at, and how are we growing them, and how do we need to pivot. Their teachers can articulate it, their students in a lot of the schools have their own little data binders, right, where they're able to help show, like, look, like here's how I've progressed in my reading log, or here's where I've made gains, and this is my goal for this week. And they're able to really, again, build that student agency and buy-in of like, this is where I'm moving, this is where I was, this is where I want to get to. And again, throughout the school, there's great acknowledgement that like we shouldn't be afraid of data, right? That it can really help lift up our scholars, whether they're moving ahead or struggling in one subject but flourishing in another. How do we capture that for them? And I think the other part is that this group really operates from this mindset. I guess this is also part of our culture, is just like, no is not always an answer. So we may hit some walls, right? But they very much come from this mindset of like, what if we tried something like this? And then thinking through the potential unintended consequences, but also the assets for kids, right? And so there's that like permission to fail almost, right? That you see in the schools of being willing to think differently, try something new, pivot and adapt. And that culture is not just from leadership, but all the way down. So their teachers can pitch them on an idea, a whole grade level can pitch them an idea. In many of the schools, a whole wing can pitch them on an idea, and most of them are very supportive and embrace that. So there's my 5, but I have plenty more if you want to chat at another time.
Emily Ann, one of our Rotary Club members here is Leah Marquez Peterson, who's on the Corporation Commission, is actually the chairman of the Corporation Commission now.
Yes.
I first became acquainted with you when there was an article in the Tucson paper about A4 Arizona cooperating with the Mexican American Chamber of Commerce, and Leah was the chamber president. Can you give just quickly what you did with Leah and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for that question. Leah's amazing. She took a chance on us. We actually incubated in her chamber and the state chamber back in the day, because again, we wanted to be really immersed by leaders and members and thought partners who really realized what was possible, and that if we really want to achieve these quality talent pipelines, we need to try something differently. And so Leah was and remains relentless in what's possible for students. She and at the time her chairman and board have been so supportive of thinking differently, of looking at the public school system as a great asset, and there are so many bright spots, and how do we hone in on what's working really well and make sure others get exposed to it. I'm very grateful for her taking me under her wing and being a champion for kids with us, especially because I failed to acknowledge that one of the reasons why the Tucson Hispanic Chamber was a perfect fit when we first launched is because when we did that map of those original 100 schools, the bulk of the schools that were high performing against all odds were in southern Arizona. The highest density of schools was in Santa Cruz County. There's a blog on our website that just gave them a shout out. They're the 3rd county in the country for the highest academic gains in the nation. I mean, phenomenal schools, right? And so that made complete sense. This is where we need to go learn. This is where schools have figured out the secret sauce for how to educate kids really well. And so Leah was phenomenal in taking me on roadshows and helping us meet school leaders in the area, asking me questions like, have you met so-and-so yet? You should know them. They're doing really cool things for kids. So I'm forever grateful for Leah and the team there. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much, Emily Ann. It's been amazing having you here today. And we have a tradition in our club in which we have our keynote sign a book that we donate to our Make Way for Books library. And today's book is Sheep in a Shop. So look at this. We'll make sure to get that signed on your behalf and into our library. And hopefully you can make your way down to Tucson one of these days and come to a meeting in person.
I would love that, and thank you again so much for this opportunity. And please do not hesitate to reach out. I obviously love this topic and our work, so I'd love to meet any and all of you interested in learning more.
Thank you. All right, great information. We're lucky to have an organization like that in the state. And now, we are moving on to the introduction of a new member. I have the pleasure, the serious pleasure of introducing a new member. This member was born in Mankato, Minnesota, back in August of 1971, the 11th, 2 years ago. He moved to Tucson when he was about 3 years old. But he would frequent Minnesota during the teenage years of his youth, earning his attaboys. Did I say it right, honey? Attaboys, you betcha. On the Lake Osakas when he worked at his uncle's resort. He got many of young female fans there who fondly referred to him as Hobie. Oh, Hobie, you're so cute. During those Hobie years, when he was back in Tucson, he actually attended Amphi Middle School, graduated from Amphi High School. But then he turned his tires north and ended up at NAU, where he attended the university there, perfecting his skills at snowboarding, mountain biking, and he actually worked for an electrician for many years while he was up attending the university there. One random thing that nobody else knows about this guy is that he installed the electrical work for one of the guys at the band Air Supply? Yeah, he did the electrical wiring at his house. That's why his hair was Sean's fault. Oh, but wait, we're getting there. Anyways, he graduated from NAU with a degree in psychology, so if you guys need some help, he's good here. Once back in Tucson, he started working in the water purification business, building and designing water vending machines. He actually has his own business now, 25-cent H2O, and he can install water coolers, bottleless, in-house purification systems for serving your office needs. But then things really, really started to get good for Sean because his dogs ran away. Little did he know that they were not running away from him, but they were running to find the perfect woman. That's right, you guys. That's right. Venda and Jazz found me. And it took him a little while to get things straight because poor Sean, he was going to ask that question, I think, one Valentine's Day many, many years ago. And there was a gun store and a jewelry store, and he got really, really confused. So he's like, oh, Jen could really use this pretty pink Ruger 1022. So I ended up with a really pretty pink 1022 one year, but shortly thereafter, he made it to the right store. 18 years of connubial bliss, guys. And the lottery did not stop there for Sean Hoffman because along came two wonderful children, Owen and Noah. And despite the fact that Sean does have small challenges, like he's not quite sure about how the laundry hamper works. I mean, it's really tough area for him. His shoes, you know, they just are all over the house. He doesn't know how to, like, put them away. He does have mad skills at napping. I mean, Sean is an Olympic napper. If there was a gold medal for napping, he would be like Michael Phelps caliber. Seriously. You've seen Sean at many, many Rotary events, helping us out at the car show, and he was a fantastic dad to our exchange students. And now we get to see more of them. Well, maybe not me, but you guys do. As he is our newest Rotary member. Come on up here, Sean.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be an official member. I feel like I've been part of the group for quite a long time without that official membership. Not a whole lot's going to change. I'm still going to participate, just maybe a little bit more. I'm just glad to be part of the group, glad to help out the mission and all the great things that Rotary does. I know there's some places I can plug myself into and be of great benefit. So thank you.
Okay, and now, you guys, we're having a history moment. We have a dynamic trio coming up to share this history moment with us. John is going to start the trio.
I've been watching Sean ever since Jen got here, and he has contributed more to this club than many active members, I can tell you that. I don't talk about money, I'm talking about sweat. Sweat equity. Anyway, history moment. As you know, we have, thanks to past President John McCaleb and Rick Rose, the film producer, and Bob Schaff, we have videos of past presidents. This was all started in 2008. There are now 35 of these, and Bob Schaff has been a fantastic archivist in terms of editing them, and then editing them further down to present to these meetings, because some of them went on for an hour. Past presidents, can you imagine that? In any case, today we are going to have past presidents' video presentation. This is going to be from the year 2005-06. Now, let me go back and a little review. Who founded Rotary? Paul Harris. And where did Paul Harris go to college? In any case, 100 years later, 2005, 100 years later, Roger Harwell was president of this club. And so we're going to see his presidential interview on video. And then after that, we are going to be treated to a most special presentation that probably most of you have never encountered before and may never see again. This is going to be a live connection with Paul Harris. Okay, Bob Schaff, go ahead.
The year I became president was a centennial Rotary, or the prior year was a centennial year, and the Rotary International Conference was in Chicago. And it was a centennial event. And we went, and Jerry and I had a marvelous time in Chicago. And while there, we got to tour the RI offices, and while we were there, Jerry and I found ourselves in the office of the president of RI, and by ourselves wandering around, looking around. So we looked in the drawers and the cabinets to see what was there. And lo and behold, we found this unique telephone. And didn't know really quite what it was, so we did a little searching and looking. And turns out that was a telephone that the RI president used to contact Paul Harris in heaven. And there it was, right there in our hands. We realized, oh my gosh, what is this? Well, I didn't think much more about it. But when we got home, opened my suitcase, there was the phone in my suitcase. Well, how did it get in my suitcase when I got it? My dear wife, Jerry, she knew I needed all the help I could get in my delivery there. So surely she had something to do with getting this phone into my suitcase. So it dawned on me, well, maybe I could use it, call Paul Harris for some advice. So I decided that my very first meeting, I would do that. So lo and behold, I tested the phone at my very first meeting, dialed up Paul Harris in heaven, and much to my surprise, he answered. And not only did he answer, he was charming and entertaining. We had a grand time talking on the phone and talking about all kinds of things. I don't even remember what, but a lot of fun things. The club got a lot of laughs out of it. I remember a few things we had. An ambassadorial scholar was to my right, and she was our guest speaker for the day. And lo and behold, Paul Harris divined that she was there, and he asked me to deliver a high five to her, which I did, which was quite fun and amazing to the young lady that she did a high five from Paul Harris. The other thing that I did in that first meeting that I'm kind of proud of is I had noticed that in years past, sometimes the meetings ended in just kind of unceremoniously, and I know a lot of important things were said during the meetings that people forgot, they didn't make notes or anything. So I thought it was important to recap. So at the end of the meeting, I said to wrap up, and I recounted. Summary. Mentioned the birthday people, and I mentioned this meeting for that. There's a meeting for that. Don't forget about this and all these things. And I thought, and that stood the test of time. I'm proud of it. That's carried on. And the other thing I did in my first meeting, well, the first 100 years of Rotary had just ended. So I thought, why don't we end the meeting with a toast to the next 100 years of Rotary? So I did that. So I asked the club to stand up and end the meeting with a toast to the next 100 years of Rotary. And that was wonderful. That was a great way to end the meeting, and everyone stood up and then went off in their own direction. And it dawned on me two things. A, what a great way to end the meeting. Get everybody on their feet. Number two, focus them on some positive message, something positive. And so I said, well, we can do that the rest of the year. Why don't we do that every meeting? So that's what I did. I started that tradition of ending the meeting with a toast.
And now here he is, Roger Howard.
Well, thanks, John, and the History Committee. That was an unexpected honor to be included in the history moment. It's more like an ancient history moment. But, and John did say, well, you're going to bring the phone, aren't you? I said, no, I'm not going to bring the phone. That was 15 years ago, and I don't know where the phone is. He said, well, let's try and find it. Well, so I searched the house, and lo and behold, under some debris, we found the phone. By some miracle. But it's old technology. I doubt that it would work, but I suppose we could try it.
Yeah.
Should we try it? See if it works? I think you have to
Like to get it to turn off. I don't know if I know the code, but oh well. It says Paul Harris right here, maybe that works. Like I said, I don't think that's gonna work at all, but. There's no speaker. Oh, hello. Yes, sir. Hello. Well, hello, is this Paul Harris? Oh my goodness. Yes, sir. Greetings from Tucson. Oh, thank you very much, sir. What a surprise. I had no idea this would work again, this old technology. Well, thank you for taking my call. Yes, sir, the same guy, 15 years ago. That's right, sir. Well, we're doing great, sir. Thank you. Actually, just trying to identify all of the blessings that COVID has brought us, and we're doing great. In fact, this particular club is doing fantastic. We're meeting here today. We've got 48 people or more, and we've got people watching on Zoom, and so this club is going great guns, actually. Yes, sir. Thanks to our amazing president. Exactly. Miss Jennifer. Wonder Woman, you said. Yes, sir. That's exactly right. She is absolutely Wonder Woman. That is the perfect description. You're exactly right, sir. We're so blessed. Well, let's see, what have we been doing over the last 15 years? Let me think. Let's see. After my presidency, Dr. John Long took over, and that year we, let's see, what did we do that year? Actually, nothing, sir. That was sort of a dead year. So, I know he didn't even do a fundraiser. I know it was a shame. You're right, sir. I know. We have our ups and downs. But one thing he did do, sir, he came up with the notion of holding a car show every year for our fundraiser, and that's turned out to be quite a success. Oh, well, that's good. I'm shocked to know that you've heard of our car show. That's fantastic. Thank you, sir. Oh, it has been. It's been a great success. Thank you. We're very, very proud of it. In fact, we're getting close to $2 million donated to our amazing charities. It's been a remarkable ride, and every show has been really terrific, actually. You may be right, sir. I think the 9th show was probably the peak show. It probably was. It was really, the leadership was key. That was quite a show. Finer is finer. That's right, sir. I'm shocked that you knew that, but that's exactly right. That still holds true today. Oh, so that's what happened. Okay, well, we wondered how it miraculously stopped raining at 5:30 that morning before the show. It poured rain all night. So thank you for that. That was a much needed miracle. So thank you very much. Well, last year was a little rough, sir. Well, first of all, the chair of the show. Yes, Colonel Bowman, that's right. Well, he thought, when he accepted the job, he thought we were doing an air show. I know, but, that's the way we do the best we can. And when he realized that it was a car show, then his heart just really wasn't in it. And then COVID swept through and just wiped out the whole thing. So it wasn't our normal banner year, that's for sure. Oh no, sir, we did not throw in the towel. No, not at all, sir. In fact, our members stepped up big time. I'm thinking that our members sold something close to 30,000 raffle tickets, which is astounding given the fact that there is no show at all. Pretty remarkable. That's right. Our auction, exactly. And Jeannie and Danielle put together a fabulous auction. It was very successful. And our sponsors indeed did step up big time. Mike Anderson, that's right. That's a perfect example of the sponsors that stepped up And Mike Anderson sponsored the entire show, just like he's done for umpteen years, knowing full well that the what was to be the fabulous 14 show was soon to become known as the Phantom 14 show. So we couldn't be proud of our members, sir, and we're doing great guns, and there have been many blessings over the years. Ah, great point. Excellent point, sir. You're right. What a blessing it was when Dorina and Carrie joined the team. They joined the team in this 15-year period. What a godsend. They're angels from heaven upon whose shoulders we stand every day, sir. We couldn't be more grateful. Yes, sir, I know, but when you say it, sir, it sounds like they really are angels. Oh, wow. I see. Yes, sir, yeah, yes, sir, I should have known, but as my wife will attest, the obvious often escapes me, sir. Wow, what a thrill. That's right. Oh, that's right. That's the big news is that we're celebrating our 100th anniversary. Can you imagine that? 100 years of the Rotary Club of Tucson. It's a remarkable testament to those who have gone before and done such a great job. And we're so proud of our club. And of course, we're proud of you for having started this wild and crazy, world-changing service platform in the first place. It's been an incredible impact all over the world, sir. So we're humbled to be a part of it. So yes, we have committed $250,000 to JTED this year, and in celebration of our centennial.
Yeah.
Oh, we can definitely do it. There's nothing this club can't do. You're right, sir. Well, thanks for the words of concern, sir, but I think even with Mark Irvin as our president, we'll be able to succeed. No, he's no Wonder Woman, that's for sure. But we have Joni Condit as our show chair, and we have Jim Levinsky as our centennial chair. So the sky's the limit. Okay, well, I was half right. Joni will lead us over the finish line, no doubt. Well, anyway, we're looking forward to a great year, sir. Well, thank you. I understand, yes, sir. I appreciate you taking my call, and I understand. 15, no, let's don't do this again in 15 years. Okay, I understand. Well, thank you very much for your time, sir, and thank you for all you've done. And we'll press on and do the best we can. Service above self to use. All right, sir. Thank you.
That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you for bringing that special phone, Roger. Contacting Paul Harris for us. Speaking of Paul Harris, let's go ahead and bring up Scott Vaughn, who has a couple of Paul Harris presentations for us.
Come on, you guys. One here, appropriately different.
Wow. Hey, we're running a little late. I know you know it, we know it, but this opportunity to present these two honorees, they both exemplify the highest standards of leadership and service to others. But if you have to leave, I'm sure they'll be pissed off. So Rotary started with a vision of one man, Paul Harris, as you've just heard, and after setting up his law practice in Chicago, he gathered several business associates to discuss the idea of forming an organization for local professionals that he envisioned as a place where professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful, lifelong friendships. Well, in 1905, he and 3 others met in downtown Chicago, and that was the first Rotary meeting. Later, in 1921, the Rotary Club of Tucson was chartered, has the second club in Arizona, and today there are more than 34,000 Rotary clubs, period, more than that. I'm personally honored to express gratitude to both of these honorees, and both have already been presented with their pins by Charlotte. Thank you. No touching, right? Okay. Steve Pickering is receiving his Paul Harris Fellow +2. A 7-year member of our club, Steve and his wife Ann celebrate their 45th wedding anniversary this year, eh? We don't have time for that. They have 2 grown children, Megan and David, and a 14-year-old grandson, Chase, who's a fine little golfer. Chase gives strokes to his grandpa. Steve graduated from Linfield University, an NCAA Division III school located in McMinnville, Oregon. So you know, Division III consists of athletic programs that choose not to offer athletic scholarships. So sorry, Steve. But as an avid football player, apparently he made a difference for Linfield as an offensive tackle. Linfield University does hold the national record at any NCAA level for the most consecutive winning football seasons, 64 in a row, still going strong. So Steve Pickering in 2019 was inducted into Linfield's Athletic Hall of Fame. Go Wildcats! Yes, they are. Hey, after college, Steve joined ESCO Corporation, where he worked for 33 years, starting in sales, ending up as president of 2 subsidiaries and presiding over more than 1,200 employees and about $350 million in revenue. I'm really impressed with that guy. He also served as CEO of several manufacturing and telecommunications companies, continues to serve on various boards. In Tucson, he's vice chairman of Commerce Bank of Arizona, Tucson's only local community bank, and he's a 5-year golf and values coach in Tucson's First Tee program. Here in Rotary, Steve chaired our 10th annual Tucson Classics Car Show. Sorry, it wasn't the best one I hear earlier today. You did? Steve also provides over our Stars Committee, and he's very thankful to his sponsors, which include Hugh Thompson, Mike Anderson, and Jim Davenport. And he's even grateful to his mentor, which he says is the best ever. That would be, I can't say his name. Jim Levitz. Okay, good. Steve's favorite activities are around family, golfing with his grandson, frequent travels with Ann, and spending time with his daughter and son when their time allows. Steve shares one of the most rewarding projects he's worked on since being in Rotary was part of the team that gave an artificial turf soccer field to a school in San Carlos. The smiles of joy of the children that they've shown was worth the effort. And he says his best Rotary moment, I can certainly relate to this, was as car show chair. The day that we awarded money to the charities, a record $209,000, and knew we had made a difference in the community. Isn't that the best day for all of us every year? That's just a wonderful thing. Congratulations, Steve Pickering, and thank you for your continued support. Jonathan Rothschild is receiving his Paul Harris Fellow today, and it's remarkable that he became a regular member of the club just 2 months ago and hasn't even been introduced as such. Instead, he's being thanked for being recognized for his support of Rotary International. And of course, you know that for most of the last decade, Jonathan has been a valued honorary member of the club. Jonathan, regular membership does have more benefits, including a formal introduction to the club, and including quarterly dues. So we thank you for trading up. Let me tell you a little couple things you might not know about Jonathan. Born in Tucson, Arizona, Canyon Del Oro High School graduate, received his bachelor's degree from Kenyon College. I looked it up. It's in Gambier, Ohio, and is described as a moderately selective school. He then went on to earn his Doctor of Jurisprudence degree from the University of New Mexico. Jonathan, for 40 years, is a member of the 62-year-old Tucson law firm, Mesh, Clark, and Rothschild. Jonathan practices law with an emphasis on estate planning and business law, and he and his wife, Karen, have provided 3 children that will help continue the firm's longevity. Sons Isaac and Nathan already work there, and daughter Molly is on the same track. So over at the U of A James Rogers College of Law, Jonathan also is a professor of practice and director of democracy and leadership initiative, whatever that is. So, oh my, he's been active in so many community endeavors. most of them serving the underserved, like Tucson Medical Center Foundation Board, Temple Emmanuel and the Jewish Family Children's Services. There he also helped develop housing for homeless vets, board president of Handmaker Jewish Services for the aged. Jonathan shares our Rotary values, as you know already, supports our activities. While our club was providing funding to Reading Seed during its startup years, Jonathan personally launched a campaign over southern Arizona for more volunteers at Reading Seed. Hundreds of volunteers stepped up to be reading coaches. Some of you may recall that from 2011 to 2019, Jonathan also served as the mayor of Tucson, Arizona. Every year, Jonathan has also volunteered at our major charity fundraiser, that car show, providing a special mayor's trophy, announcing the many car category winners, and of course, having the honor of drawing the ticket for the shiny Corvette. When asked why he supports Rotary programs, Jonathan's reply was way too long. But it does include this: the work the Rotarians do worldwide to eradicate polio and provide international exchange scholarships and provide aid wherever it's needed in the world. That plus this club's service to our community is worthy of our support. Congratulations, Jonathan, and thank you for your continued support of Rotary programs. We now continue with our tradition of giving our Paul Harris honorees a memorable gift of small value. Take that. For Steve, you love teaching golf, so this book may take you to the next level. Caddy for Life, the story of Tom Watson's caddy. And Doubletree cookies, prepared for you with the official recipe at a mystery off-site location. For you, Jonathan? Oh, this is really beautiful. It's a beautiful book of historic photographs of Tucson. I present that to you, and it's truly beautiful, and it's kind of to get you acquainted with the community, so maybe you decide to stay here. I got one more thing for you. Didn't spill. And to recognize your passion for certain local businesses, a large watermelon Ouija for your enjoyment.
Thank you, Scott. Congratulations, Steve and Jonathan. All right, on to announcements. And we're starting with, okay, you guys, we've had a long-standing tradition for Rodeo Week to come dressed. And our best rodeo attire for our meeting. So next week, please come dressed in your Western finery. I know we're not having a rodeo that week, this year, but I still think it's a club tradition and it's a fun one at that.
I think we have a blue badge presentation. Jim, what are you?
He's not here today.
He's not here. All right, so I think that's it. I just have one question, Jen. As you were introducing Sean, you said connubial bliss. You want to give us the definition of connubial bliss?
We're just really, really happy.
In marriage.
Yes.
All right, real quick, we've got a quick blue badge presentation. Phil, come on up here, please. I'm going to go over this one, sir. So, everybody, this is a blue badge. We don't have them anymore. We have just throwaway white ones. Someday, I'm looking forward to getting to wear this again. But for now, Phil joins the club as a blue badge member. We don't have many blue badge presentations these days. Phil also sets the record for longest tenure as a red badger. But I have a feeling that with Mayor Rothschild still not even being introduced, we may be setting new records for that. So, Phil, this is your blue badge. Congratulations. We look forward to having you. Say 5 minutes of words, please.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
announcement. You guys, the Tucson Classics Car Show website is live. Registration for cars has begun, and you can also purchase your tickets or forward the link for your friends, family, etc., to purchase their tickets. And with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming today. It was great having guests. Thank you for tuning in virtually, you guys. Someday soon. If you would like to register, if you would like to donate to the scholarship cups, the cup is at the back of at the registration table. And on your way out, be sure to drop off these really nice name tags that Carrie and Dorena spent so much time putting together. Jim. And congrats to our Paul Harris recipients. Congrats on the blue badge, Phil. And thanks for making it official, Sean. Next week, our speaker is, I wanted to ask somebody how to say her last name because I'm going to slaughter it. Carolyn Knighhammer, feeding Tucson in the UNESCO of Gastronomy. So that should be fun. And now, we'll go ahead and have our toast. Thanks to Roger Harlow. In the spirit of Random Act of Kindness Day, I'm going to quote Amelia Earhart. A single act of kindness throws roots out in all directions, and the roots spring up to make new trees. So here's to making a forest from our random acts of kindness. Thanks for coming, guys.